Once upon a time.
In a galaxy far, far away.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Gather round, my friends. Let me tell you a story.
Story. According to the Oxford Dictionary, story is defined as an account of imaginary or real people and events told for entertainment, or an account of past events in someone's life or in the evolution of something. My name is Kenton J Moore. The J stands for John. I was named after my grandfather on my mother's side, an Italian homesteader who built a large ranch up here, used to be a cattleman with his brothers, ran a company called Donchi Brothers Cattle. That's a pretty cool story. I think so, anyways. Everybody has one like that. Everybody. When I was in the Navy, I met people from all over Canada, from one coast to the other coast. I sailed with Quebecois. I sailed with Newfoundlanders. I sailed with people from Cape Breton. And I became friends with and family with so many of them. And every single one of them had incredible stories to tell. Before even that, while I was growing up on the farm, I was friends with local First Nations. And I learned oral storytelling and their history and their spiritualism and all their culture and mythology and mythos. Go all the way back to when cavemen were sitting around in caves, and story is how we share our experiences with each other. It's how humanity has learned from one another. We pass everything down by story, whether it's a true story about, how your grandfather once killed a bunch of pack rats by polishing dynamite blasting caps with Brasso, or it could be just what you did on the weekend and how you figured out a new trick to fixing the plumbing that leaked beneath your sink. In modern pop culture, story exists everywhere, from video games to comic books to movies to television to, just name it, social media, TikTok, content creators, the new breed, YouTube and vlogs and blogs. And humans are hardwired to share our stories. It's what life is, and I think anyway. In this podcast, I plan to explore more about storytelling, and not just because it's my last name, but because I want to show and share my passion for storytelling with the world. My journey as a storyteller started quite early. I think if you listen to the stories my mom tells, there's that word again. I was in kindergarten and we had an assignment to write a small little book, and they'd laminated it and read it to the class. And mom was pulled aside after by the teacher, who said that they needed to do whatever they could to nurture that creativity within me. And I was always given everything I asked for when it came to books. If I wanted a new book, my mom would never question it. She would make it happen. And to that end, one of the first books I ever read was Never Cry Wolf by Farley Mowat. Not exactly young readers of fiction or fan fiction at all. Later in my life, I was reading Peter Benchley and Stephen King. I was collecting X-Men comic books when I was 11. I remember once for Christmas when I was at a family gathering, I'd just got a bunch of new issues of comics under the tree. And my uncle was reading one of my comics, and he said to me, "Now I know why I can't understand a word you say. I don't even know what half these words are." My mom likes to tell a story about how she took medical terminology in order to get a career to take care of my brother and I. And at 13, I was helping her pass her course. I was helping her learn to spell and pronounce all of these words. So it's no surprise that fast forward to my high school years, I fell in love with writing screenplays for movies. And I wrote a screenplay, 98-page screenplay called Dispatch, that was a science fiction story. And we tried to film it with an 8 millimeter hand camera that belonged to my dad, but it just didn't work out. But that screenplay got its hands into the drama teachers, or found itself in the hands of the drama teacher, whose the other teacher was part of the BC Student Script Association, and they really put it into my head that I should be writing. Unfortunately for me, life had other plans, and I had a daughter at a very young age, and I chose to pursue a career, so I joined the Navy, traveled around the world, and art took a back seat for quite a long time. I still wrote. I still wrote screenplays. I volunteered for film groups like Cinevic in Victoria. I wrote short stories all the time whenever the thought occurred to me. I sent them off to newspapers. I wrote articles for base newspaper in Victoria. And in 2013, I finally embarked on the journey when self-publishing became a thing, when it became an industry, so to speak. Fast forward a few more years after that, and I decided that it was time to put all my energy and time and effort into making an honest go at sharing my work with the world. And in 2023, I republished Legend of the Sunlight Prince, which was my first novella, self-published novella. That same year, I published The Road to Bone Hill, which was a memoir slash instruction manual on my journey into creating honey wine and mead during COVID-19. And then that October, that Halloween, I released a collection of 12 short stories that I'd written over my entire life. I put them all together. It was called The Dark Below the Ice and Other Stories, released on Halloween 2023. And for 72 hours, that book was number one in 3 different categories on Amazon bestseller lists, including Canadian short stories, etc., etc. I kind of was on a high, so I kept going. And I created a steampunk series called Cloudbreakers that's inspired by my time in the Navy and, my love of aviation and the world above the clouds, thanks to my father. And the first book, Valen, was released December 18th, 2024. In 2025, I went on tour with Indigo, which is Canada's biggest book-selling company, all throughout British Columbia and a couple appearances in Alberta. And I've seen moderate success, but through it all, my truest passion is story itself and the people that I've met along this journey, not just other authors, but artists, musicians, video game designers, animators, filmmakers, documentarians. I've met and had the pleasure to be a part of their world. Such a huge roster of individuals that are just absolutely incredible, not only for their own stories, but the stories that they brought into the world. And it's all of that that made me want to bring this podcast out. So this podcast, more about storytelling, is a passion project for me. I'm going to be bringing in interviews. Going to be bringing in all of the people that I've met and come across along the way, the people that I've shared tables with, shared stories with, people that I've shared tears with, laughs with. I, hope to bring in some of my old friends from the Navy and we can tell some of our stories together. Reached out to local First Nations to see about getting some oral storytellers in here. And that's my plan. My plan is to really take a deep dive into what story means to me, but also what I believe it means to the world. And through that, I hope to introduce you to some absolutely incredible people that I've been fortunate to meet. And hopefully that puts a little light on them as well and helps share in this community of people that are so passionate about telling a story, whether it's drawing a picture or creating a video game or releasing their own comic book or playing Dungeons and Dragons or creating an entire new community where people like us can get together and celebrate for 3 days a la Comic Con. So, welcome to More About Storytelling. I hope you enjoy. This is just a sort of like a manifesto. It's a pre-announcement. It's, my prologue to the story, if you will, of this podcast. And the first episode will be coming next week. I'm very excited about it. The interview is with one of my best friends that is responsible for me going down the self-publishing road. And after that, it's just a parade of absolutely awesome people that I can't wait for you to meet. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoy More About Storytelling.
Fade to black. The end.